Alright, so in this talk we're not going to concentrate on fire signs. It's all about the mark of the beast, which is a global registration where everybody on the planet has to register to get some type of an ID number in order to be able to buy or sell. So we're going to look at Revelation 13, which is the chapter of Revelation which contains the warning about the mark of the beast, and Revelation 17, which helps us to work out when the mark comes in. It's apparent that it won't be long, because right now governments in the world are taking away, especially in France, people's liberties on the grounds that, oh, we're going to protect you from coronavirus. For your own good, you have to sign a form if you leave your house. And even in this country, if you're over 80 years old, you're apparently not old enough to determine whether or not you can go outside for a walk. It's not the right way to deal with it. Sure, there may be people motivated to try and do the right thing, but the net result is government control. And the ultimate expression of worldwide government control is the mark of the beast in Revelation 13. So I'm going to explain what it means, and I've got to say, this is not easy. It's not a kindergarten endeavour. It's like a university course, understanding God's book, and you wouldn't expect anything different. If you wanted to decode the genetic material, which is his biological code of man, the DNA code, it's a complicated task. And to decode his literary code, the Bible, is equally complicated. So put your thinking hats on and don't expect this to be a walk in the park, but it's totally doable, and we believe we've done it. So the famous scripture, Revelation 13, verse 18, here is where wisdom comes in. Let the one that has intelligence count the number of the wild beasts, for it's a number of a man, and its number is 666, or 616. 666 in the later manuscripts, 616 in the earlier Ornithurus fragment. And we shall see that 616 is correct. Now what that means is you have to count the number of the beasts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that. And let's hope that we all have the intelligence, and that I hope that the reader has the intelligence to follow me in doing it. So, verse 1. Here is this beast. I saw out of the sea wild beasts stepping up. That counts as one time. It's one action. Having 10 horns, that's 10 times. 7 heads, that's 7 times. And upon its 10 horns, 10 diadems. That's 10 plus 10. 10 diadems on 10 horns, that's 20 times. And upon its heads, names of blasphemy. That's the Greek plural, names. That's 2 times on 7 heads. That makes 2 plus 1 times 7, which is 21 times. And the wild beast which I saw was like a leopard. So the beast 1 time is like a leopard 1 time. That's 2 times. And the feet as those of a bear. Bears have 20 claws on their 4 feet. And so that's 20 times for those of the bear. But the feet of this beast are just like it, so that's another 20 times. So that's 40 times. And the mouth was as the mouth of a lion. The mouth of a lion, lions have 30 teeth, so that's 30 times. And this has a mouth just like the mouth of a lion, so that's 30 plus 30 equals 60 times. Tongue's in the mouth, but it's connected to the throat, not the mouth. And it gave to the dragon the power of it, the throne of it, and an authority great. That's 3 times. And 1 out of the heads of it, it has 7 heads, 1 out of 7 is a witness to 7 times, as having been slaughtered to death 1 time. And the blow of death of it was cured 1 time. And it was made to wander the whole earth behind the wild beast. That's 1 behind, it's wandering behind a beast. It's 1 plus 1. Something behind something else, 2. And they, it's Greek plural, that's 2 times. A Hebrew plural is 3 times, because there's also a Hebrew dual number, which is 2 times. But in Greek, although there is actually technically a dual, it's never used. I mean, Greek technically has everything, but in reality it's singular or plural in Greek. They 2 times gave worship to the dragon because it gave authority to the beast. That's times 1 actually, but 2 ones are 2. And they gave worship to the beast, saying, who is like the beast, and who is able to awe it? That's 2 times 2 is 4. And was given to it a mouth, which we've worked out was 30 times, speaking great things and blasphemies. That's 2 times 2. That makes 4 times 30 is 120. and was given to it authority to do, Sinaiticus has what it wants, but it doesn't make any difference, 42 months, that's 42 times. And it opened the mouth of it 30 times, into blasphemies towards the God, times 2, to blaspheme the name of him, the tent of him, and then it's comma, all ones in heaven tenting. And that's difficult, because the tent of him is a bunch of people in heaven, but it isn't all of them. Sorry, it doesn't say that. And the tent of him, comma, the ones in heaven tenting, which is well ambiguous. It could mean the ones in heaven tenting who comprise his tent, which is his boys, or it could mean everybody in heaven, because the demons were in heaven and they weren't in God's tent. But we think it means everybody in heaven. It's just ones in heaven tenting. So that counts as a name of him is one, tent of him is one, and you see, if the tent of him is further specified to be the ones in heaven tenting, which is obvious, that'd be 1 times 2. But if it's all the ones in heaven, a different group, that would be 1 plus 2. And we're taking it as 1 plus 2, plus the name of him is 4, times the blasphemies is 2, times the mouth is 30. That's 240 times. And was given it to make war in the midst of the holy ones. That's making war 1 time in the midst of is just an addition, amongst, with, which is plus, holy ones is a plural, that's 2, so 1 plus 2 is 3. And was given to it authority upon every tribe. Every tribe is 2, and authority is upon it, making 3, and upon every people, another 3, and upon every tongue, and upon every nation. That's 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. And will worship him, all the ones dwelling on the earth. Well, the ones dwelling on the earth is 2 times for 1 on the earth, and all of them is 2 times 2 is 4. Of whom not has been written the name of him in little book of the life of the Lamb, the one having been slaughtered from throwing down the world. That's the multiplication by 1, that makes no difference. But it's interesting, the book of life of the Lamb, the little book of life of the Lamb, you don't want to worship this beast if you want to be in that book, which means not taking the mark. But on the other hand, all the saints are in the ark before the mark test occurs, so they certainly won't have taken the mark. Anyway, if anyone is having ear, that's 1 person having an ear, that's 2, let him hear. That's an exhort, let him do something, that's 1, that's 2 plus 1 is 3. Let him hear what? Hear verse 8, that anybody who takes the mark isn't in the book of life. So that's actually 3 times 4, making 12. So add the whole thing up, it's 1 plus 10 plus 7 plus 20 plus 21 plus 2 plus 40 plus 60 plus 3 plus 7 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 30 times 4 plus 42 plus 30 times 8 at 240 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus the final 4 times 3, and that's 616, 616 times. And now we've counted the number of the beast. And what it's doing is it's confirming that there's a sentence count, not in fact on all scriptures, but on all scriptures which contain body parts or lists of more than 3 things or comparisons. It's a triggered list count, and that's part of how the scriptures are written. And Revelation 13, that's the count, and it's telling you there's a sentence count on the scriptures, because the Bible is a history book with no dates. God would never write such a thing. It's got no dates in the literal meaning, no dates explicitly, or very few, but the dates are encoded in sentence counts and things like that. Right, so now we go to the mark of the beast. And what it says is it puts under compulsion all ones. Then it further specifies that to be the small ones, the great ones, the rich ones, the poor ones, the free ones, and the enslaved ones. 6 subcategories of a main category. When you have that form, it means 6 times dead, which isn't 6 years. We don't have 6 years. It's not 6 days, which wouldn't achieve anything. It's 6 months. So the mark of the beast compulsion lasts for precisely 6 months as regards its authority. And the authority of the beast, of the dragon and the beast, is 42 months, which we looked at in that sentence count. You know, it gets authority to do 42 months, which ends the end of the world judicially, which is Elul 2020, Elul 14, and then the kingdom begins Elul 16 on a late, so first fruits. So we're not proving that. How do I prove that? It's all in U271-11, but that's not the subject of this. So the compulsion ends when it runs out of authority. So the compulsion would begin, actually it doesn't end then, and it doesn't quite run out of authority then, because the 3 Passovers of the dragon, which end its authority, The main Passover is Elul 14, 2020. The early Passover is Ab 14, and the entrance day to that is Ab 10, which is Temple Burning Day for Adam, starting with the burning of the demons who are Adamic until they jump into non-Adamic people, that is, who failed various tests, or failed the test. And then the Passover execution, there's 3 Passovers. God needs 3 witnesses when there's a capital sin, a death sentence sin. And so there's 3 Passovers you can attend, and if you miss all 3, you've denied the Christ 3 times, then you go to hell, basically. So the 3rd demonic Passover is 2020 Tishri 14. So that's the end of all demonic authority. Right, so the compulsion we know lasts 6 months, and we know it must end by Tishri 14. It doesn't actually end on Tishri 14. Right, to find out when this compulsion begins, I mean, it's going to be, if it was 6 months precisely before Tishri 14, it'd be Nisan 14. If it was 6 months before Elul 14, the Passover dragon, it would be Adar 14. But it wasn't Adar 14. We will now find out that it's actually Adar 24, as follows. So you do a sentence count of verses 16 and 17. It's compelling all ones 2 times. Small, great, rich, poor, free slaves as 12 times. That is multiplication. All persons 2 times should give them, the rich, the small, the poor, the slaves, the blah, blah, 12 times. A mark engraving on their right hand, that's 6 times, or upon their forehead, that's 2 times, but it's an or, not an and. So you don't add them, you average them. And the average of 6 and 2 is 4, because it's an alternative, it's not an addition. What's happening is we're turning linguistic, grammatical constructions into mathematical counts. In order that someone might be able to buy or sell, might not be able to buy or sell actually. If they don't have the mark engraving the name of the beast or the number of its name. So that's A or B or C, which is the average of 1 and 1 and 1, which is 1. So if you add all that up, it actually comes to 200 times. It's 6 months and 20 days. And that is the total compulsion. That's the maximum compulsion. So that ends when the Passover execution of the repentant firstborn of the dragon occurs, Tishri 14, 2020. So it begins Adar 24, 2019. And the universal compulsion, the 6 months of... So what there is a universal compulsion for 6 months, which lasts from Adar 24, 2019. Today is Adar 19, so Adar 24 is March 24, 25. It's in 5 days' time. In 5 days' time, if this is right, the mark of the beast will come in. There'll be a global registration, all presumably on the grounds of, well, we've got to protect you all against coronavirus. We've got to stop people panic buying everything. We've got to know what you're all doing for your own good. We're going to control your entire life because you don't know when you can go out the door. You don't know what food to buy. You know nothing. We're going to control everything on the pretext of we'll save you from coronavirus. But in the meantime, we won't bother to test you or anything. I mean, Oxford University have developed this fantastic RNA test that takes an hour, and it's just like a diabetes prick. And if they tested everybody, they'd know who had it, and they wouldn't have to lock all the wrong people up or cause them to self-isolate when there's nothing wrong with them. And they wouldn't have to destroy the economy. This is all a power game. Anyway, so the universal compulsion is 6 months, and it's from Adar 24, which is 200 days before the end of the Passover execution of the dragon, from Elul 24, but there's many more proofs than that. The easiest one is probably this. In Revelation 17 you've got 10 kings who have one thought, and so they give their power and authority to the beast. 10 kings having one thought is a comparison of 10 with 1. It means dead on 10 times, which is 10 months, or 10 days actually. And the absolute end of Adam, the end of the beast, the end of giving power and authority is 2020 Tebeth 14. That's the end of everything. That's the Passover of the first death. That's the last day of dying Adamic death. That's the last day of Adam being alive on the planet. I mean, the flood kills faithless Adam, which is Adam who isn't in the salvation covenant. On 2020 Tebeth 14, the ones who were in the salvation covenant but failed the sealing test, they get killed too from Adam, and that's the end of Adam. 10 months prior to that is Adar 14. That's when they get 10 days of unity of thought, taking you to Adar 24. And that's when they give their power and authority to the beast. So the power and authority is given for 10 months less 10 days, or 9 months and 20 days. Now, we go to Revelation 17. What it says is the 10 kings, the 10 horns you saw mean 10 kings, who have not yet received a kingdom. Also, when a number is repeated, 10 horns means 10 kings, or Elijah was plying with 12 yokes of cattle and he was with the 12th of them, or the 7 angels have 7 bowls, or anything which has, again, it's dead on that number of horns, who mean 10 kings, is 10 times. And they haven't received a kingdom. But they do receive authority as kings 1 hour. So there's 10 times of these, but they have one thought. That's a 10 compared with 1, that's another 10 times. So they have one thought for 10 times before they receive the kingdom. They do eventually receive it, but there's 10 times when they don't receive it, but they think in unison. That's 10 days from Adar 14 to Adar 24. Then it says that they receive authority as kings 1 hour with the beast. 1 hour is the 12th of a day. What is the day? Well, the day is the post-satanic lease day, and Satan's lease expired 2011. He had a 6,000 year lease from 3 years after Jesus' lease began, plus a month because it's the second appointment. It expired 2011 ER 14, and so the post-satanic lease day, it runs from 2011 ER 14 to 2020 Tebeth 14. That's 9 years and 8 months, and the 12th of that is 9 months and 2/3 of a month, which is 9 months and 20 days. So they get authority for the 9 months and 20 days from Adar 24, 2019, or 10 months less 10 days, to 2020 Tebeth 14. And to further confirm that, Joab did a registration of the people, and it took him 9 months and 20 days to do it in 2 Samuel 24 verse 8. So verse 8 says, thus they went moving about through all the land and came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. Indeed we shall. At the end of 9 months and 20 days, Adam is finished and we're at Jerusalem. That is the physical beginning of the kingdom. I mean universal physical beginning of the kingdom. Everybody left will be a kingdom citizen on that day. Joab now gave the number of the registration of people to the king, and there's 800,000 with sword and 500,000 of Judah. 9 months and 20 days from 2019 Adar 24 to 2020 Tebeth 14. So we've got 3 proofs of it, or 4 actually. You've got the 1 hour proof of the day. The day is 9 years and 8 months, and an hour is 9 months and 20 days. You got the registration of Joab, which was 9 months and 20 days. You've got the 10 times compared with the 1 times. You've got the 10 times of 10 days of unity of thought off of 10 months of giving power and authority. That's again 9 months and 20 days. Then you've got the 200 times sentence count of 200 days from Adar 24, 2019 to Tishri 14, 2020, the Passover execution of the dragon. So that's all in Revelation 17. All this is covered in Understanding 151. So the technical points I want to get across is when a number is repeated, it stands for that number of times, dead on. So in a scripture, I mean immediately repeated, not repeated 4 verses later, but 10 horns means 10 kings, that type of thing. Or 7 angels with 7 bowls, or 4 angels standing on the 4 corners. And also when it's 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 10, that stands for, again, 10 times or 7 times dead. And also, on every triggered scripture, there's a sentence count. There's potentially a sentence count if it's triggered. It's triggered by a body part, by a number, and by a list with more than 3 things in. Various things trigger a count. And that tells you the chronology. That's how the chronology, or one of the ways, the chronology is encoded in the scripture. I hope that helps. If you want to read the whole thing, go to Understanding 151, and then scroll down to Revelation 13, and then Revelation 17. Thank you very much.